He waited outside the hospital every night, cold, hungry, and alone. No one knew why, until one doctor followed him and uncovered a story so heartbreaking it brought him to tears. This isn't just about a puppy. It's about loyalty, love, and a promise never broken. The wind screamed through the streets like a warning, sweeping bits of trash and brittle leaves across the pavement as the town settled under the weight of another cold winter night. The only place still alive with movement was the town hospital, glowing faintly gold beneath a sky of dull gray clouds. Its revolving doors spun quietly as patients, nurses, and visitors came and went in a rush of boots and scarves. And yet, amidst all the chaos, there was one figure who did not move. A small puppy. Curled up tightly just outside the entrance, half hidden beneath a bench, he huddled against the cold. His fur was dirty, matted in places, and looked barely thick enough to survive another night. But he didn't whimper. He didn't beg. He simply waited, his gaze fixed, unwavering on the hospital doors as if he were guarding something inside. Or someone. Dr. Aaron Blake noticed him for the first time that evening. He had just finished a brutal double shift in the emergency ward and was rubbing the back of his neck as he stepped outside. Exhaustion had dulled his senses, but the small figure stopped him mid-step. He frowned. "What the—" A nurse passing behind him saw where he was looking. "He's been there every night for over a month," she said softly. "Always in the same spot. Never leaves until morning." Aaron turned to her. "Is he someone's?" She shook her head. "No collar, no tag, no chip, according to the shelter. Animal control came twice. He ran before they could catch him." "Then why here?" She shrugged. "Some think he's waiting for someone. A patient, maybe." Aaron watched the puppy for another long moment. The little creature didn't so much as blink. His eyes held the weight of something ancient. Grief, maybe? Or hope. That night, Aaron couldn't sleep. His mind kept drifting back to that dog, staring at those doors like they'd open and bring someone back from the dead. The next evening, he came prepared. As his shift ended, he exited the hospital with a leftover turkey sandwich wrapped in a napkin and a small bottle of water. He knelt a short distance from the puppy, carefully unwrapping the food and setting it down. "Hey, little guy," he said softly. "You hungry?" The puppy looked at him but didn't move. Aaron slid the food forward an inch and backed away. Only then did the puppy inch forward, limping slightly. His back leg trembled with each step, and Aaron saw it clearly now. An old injury, poorly healed. The pup sniffed the sandwich cautiously and then began to eat, slowly, almost respectfully. Aaron knelt there in silence, his breath curling in the icy air, watching a stray eat like it had forgotten how. The next day, Aaron brought a small fleece blanket and folded it neatly under the bench. The puppy arrived around sunset, just as before, and sniffed the blanket with suspicion before curling onto it. Aaron said nothing, just sat nearby. He didn't know why this mattered to him, but it did. He started calling the puppy Buddy without thinking. "Hey, buddy, cold again tonight. Did you sleep okay last time?" Still, the dog never responded, just stared at the entrance, waiting for something, or someone. Only he knew. By the end of the week, the security guards, janitors, and nurses all knew about the dog. Some brought scraps, others whispered theories. None dared move him. It felt sacred. But on Friday night, the routine broke. A storm rolled in. Cold rain slashed sideways as wind battered the glass hospital windows. Aaron stayed late due to a trauma case and didn't leave until well past midnight. As he stepped outside, his heart clenched. The bench was empty. He ran out into the lot, scanning every corner. "Buddy?" he called, louder than he meant to. A soft whimper came from near the ambulance bay. Aaron hurried over and found the puppy huddled beneath a bush, soaked to the bone, shaking violently. His blanket was gone, washed away by the storm. Without thinking, Aaron shed his own coat and wrapped it around the trembling form. "You stupid little thing," he whispered, voice breaking. "Why didn't you stay where it was dry?" The puppy made no sound. He just leaned into Aaron's warmth like he'd done it before, like he remembered what love used to feel like. Aaron cradled him in his arms and walked back inside, past the front desk, past the curious stairs, straight to the staff locker room. He found a towel, gently dried him off, and laid him in a laundry basket with a heat lamp overhead. "You're lucky you're small," he muttered. "I'd have been tackled if you were a Rottweiler." The puppy blinked up at him, too tired to react. Aaron sat beside him on the tile floor for nearly an hour, watching the soft rise and fall of his ribs. So small, so fragile, and yet so stubborn. Loyal. That night, Aaron didn't go home. He dozed in the break room, coatless and haunted by the feeling that this wasn't just a stray. Something deeper pulsed behind those eyes. The next morning, he had a question burning in his mind. Who was that dog waiting for? And why did it feel like finding out would change everything? Aaron Blake's morning began with a headache and 100 unanswered questions. The dog, now tucked into a blanket in the locker room, had wormed his way under Aaron's skin. For a man known to be emotionless, detached, a surgeon of steel nerves, this quiet ache in his chest was unexpected and unwelcome. Still, he found himself slipping out of rounds early to check on the dog. "Morning, buddy," he said softly as he cracked the locker room door. The puppy lifted his head. His eyes were clearer today. He was clean. Well, cleaner. And warm. He blinked slowly and gave one tiny thump of his tail against the towel. Aaron felt something stir in him. He crouched down, letting the dog sniff his hand. "You don't trust me yet? That's okay. We've got time." He paused. "But I need to know something. Who are you waiting for?" It haunted him. There had to be someone. Someone who meant enough that this dog had returned to the hospital night after night through cold, hunger, pain. Aaron had worked here nearly 10 years. He knew loss. He'd watched patients breathe their last, seen families collapse under grief. But this silent waiting, this unwavering hope, it was different. He needed answers. He returned to his office and pulled up the hospital's intake logs. He filtered patients from the last 2 months who'd arrived without family, without contact details. The list narrowed to 23 names. Too many. He thought harder. The dog had an injured leg. An old injury. Probably from an accident. He narrowed the filter again. Trauma admissions. 8 names. Then he added one more filter. Deceased. 3 names. His stomach twisted as he read through them. One stood out immediately. Maria Turner. Age 27. Victim of a car crash. Brought in 6 weeks ago. Died of internal bleeding during emergency surgery. Aaron clicked her file. EMT notes flashed on screen. Female patient. Unconscious at scene. Fractured femur, head trauma, internal bleeding. Arrived via ambulance. Noted presence of small dog. Injured. Ran off before animal control arrived. His breath caught. A dog. At the scene. A small one. Injured. Aaron's fingers trembled as he opened the attached photo files. One blurry frame captured Maria's stretcher being pulled from the ambulance, and just behind the leg of a paramedic, barely visible, was a shape. Small. Brown. Limping. It was him. The dog hadn't run away from something. He had followed. Aaron leaned back, heart pounding. The puppy had chased the ambulance, watched her disappear into the hospital. And he had waited. every night since. Maria Turner had no next of kin. Her belongings had been boxed, stored in the Lost and Found Annex. No family ever came to claim them. Aaron called the records clerk. "I need access to Maria Turner's personal items." There was a pause. "She's the one from the crash?" "Yes." "Come down, I'll unlock the room." He found her things stored in a cardboard box marked with her name in faded marker. Inside were a few changes of clothes, a phone with a shattered screen, and a small pink dog collar. Aaron's throat closed up. The tag read, "Milo." He whispered it aloud. "Milo." It felt right. He returned to the locker room and sat beside the basket. The puppy stirred, blinking at him with calm, cautious eyes. "Milo," Aaron said gently. The dog's ears perked slightly. Then again. "Milo." The tail gave one slow wag. "You remember?" Aaron breathed. Something inside him broke. He reached out and placed the collar beside the towel. "She loved you, didn't she?" The dog nudged the collar gently with his nose. No sound, no bark. Just quiet acceptance. Aaron sat in silence, unsure what to do next. The hospital wouldn't allow him to keep the dog there forever, and he couldn't leave him outside again. That night, Aaron left with Milo in his arms. His apartment was sterile, silent. He hadn't had a pet in years. No plants, no photographs, just white walls and the faint hum of the fridge. He laid down a blanket and set a bowl of food nearby. "It's not much," he said, voice soft, "but it's safe." Milo sniffed the room cautiously, tail low, ears twitching. Then he sat. Not at the food bowl, not on the blanket, but by the door, staring, still waiting. Aaron watched, heart tightening. He crouched beside him. "She's gone," he whispered. "She's not coming back. But I think she would have wanted you to be okay?" Milo didn't move, didn't look at him, just kept watching the door, as if any second she might walk in, arms open. Aaron swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." The words cracked in his throat. That night, Aaron didn't sleep much. He sat on the floor near the door, Milo by his side, both of them staring into the silence. Something had started that couldn't be undone. The sun peeked through the blinds of Aaron's apartment, casting soft lines across the hardwood floor. Milo hadn't moved all night. He still sat by the door, ears perked, waiting. As if Maria might return with a leash and a smile and say, "Come on, boy, let's go home." Aaron stirred from the couch, stiff from sleeping upright. He looked at the small brown dog and felt a strange ache that hadn't left his chest since learning Milo's name. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a responsibility, a bond, a vow, unspoken but undeniable. He crouched next to him. "Morning, Milo." The dog didn't look back, but his tail gave a small, almost apologetic thump. Aaron smiled faintly. "That's progress." He filled a bowl with food and another with water. Milo sniffed at them, ate quietly, then returned to his post by the door. Aaron sighed. "You're really not going to give up, are you?" That day, he returned to the hospital with dark circles under his eyes and Milo's collar in his pocket. At lunch, he found Sarah, an ICU nurse known for her big heart and even bigger mouth, organizing files behind the nurses' station. "Hey," Aaron said, "do you remember Maria Turner?" Sarah looked up, her expression softening. "Yeah, the car crash victim. Came in a mess, we tried, but I think the dog that's been sleeping outside every night was hers." Sarah blinked. "Wait, the dog? The little brown one?" Aaron nodded. "His name's Milo. I found his collar in her things." "Oh my God," she breathed. "He's been waiting for her all this time?" "Yes," Aaron said. "And now, I think he's grieving." The nurse covered her mouth, visibly moved. Poor baby. Aaron hesitated, then added, "He's staying with me for now." Sarah's eyebrows lifted. "You? Mr. Iceberg?" Aaron gave her a flat look. "I'm not heartless." "Could have fooled us." He ignored the jab and continued. "But I think there's more to this. Maria had no listed family, no one visited. Do we know anything else about her?" Sarah thought for a moment. Her chart said she worked as a home nurse, lived alone, quiet. No one claimed her body, no funeral arrangements. Social services stepped in. Aaron felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "So, Milo was all she had?" "Looks that way." He returned home that evening with a heaviness in his chest. Milo greeted him with a small wag of the tail. No bark, no leap, just quiet recognition. It felt more meaningful than any greeting Aaron had ever received. That night, as Aaron cooked a frozen dinner, Milo moved from the door and sat near the kitchen. He didn't beg, didn't whine. He just watched. Aaron tossed him a small piece of chicken. Milo caught it mid-air and blinked. "You like that?" Another piece, another blink. After dinner, Aaron settled on the couch. Milo, for the first time, climbed up beside him, tentatively, unsure if he was allowed. Aaron didn't stop him. Instead, he let the dog settle against his leg. It was quiet. It was simple, but it meant everything. As the days passed, their bond deepened. Milo still stared at the door some nights, but less often. He followed Aaron from room to room, sometimes lying at his feet during video calls, other times curled up on a pillow by the window. Aaron found himself talking more, about work, life, even about his estranged brother whom he hadn't spoken to in years. Milo never interrupted, never judged. Just listened. Aaron didn't realize how much he'd needed that. One Saturday, Aaron took Milo to the vet. The limp was still present, and he needed a proper checkup. The vet confirmed the worst. The old injury had healed incorrectly. "Most likely hit by a car," the vet said, gently rotating Milo's hind leg. "It healed on its own, but not well. We can try corrective surgery, but it's expensive." Aaron looked down at the dog, who sat quietly beside him, tail curled neatly around his paws. "Do it," he said without hesitation. "You sure?" "It's not cheap." Aaron nodded. "I'm sure." As the procedure was scheduled, Aaron posted an update in the hospital's internal bulletin, sharing the story of the little dog outside, the one everyone had seen but no one really knew. The response was overwhelming. Donations from staff poured in. Nurses, doctors, even janitors chipped in. "For Milo," many of them wrote. "For Maria." The surgery went well. Milo returned home in a cone, groggy but wagging. Aaron bought him a new orthopedic bed, added soft rugs across the apartment, and worked from home the first 2 days to keep watch. Milo healed fast. So did Aaron. One evening, about a month later, Aaron received an email. It was from a woman named Leah, someone who had once worked with Maria at a home care agency. She'd seen the hospital post and reached out. "I knew Maria," the message began. "She was kind, quiet, loved animals, said her dog was the only family she had left after her parents died. She called him her little guardian, said if anything ever happened to her, he'd wait forever, that he always knew when she was sad. She joked that he could probably find her in the next life." Aaron stared at the message, tears welling. He looked over at Milo, sleeping peacefully, paws twitching in some dream. "She was right," he whispered. It had been nearly 2 months since Milo first stepped inside Aaron's apartment, yet the doctor still hadn't fully adjusted. His mornings now included preparing food for someone else, checking for wagging tails instead of checking emails, and stopping to rub behind floppy ears before facing the chaos of the hospital. And oddly, he didn't mind. Aaron found peace in Milo's quiet loyalty. The dog didn't ask for much. Just warmth, routine, and the occasional glance at the front door, his silent ritual that had yet to vanish entirely. Aaron had once found that gaze unsettling, but now it felt sacred. It was Maria he waited for. And maybe, in some way, he always would. The mobile vet checkups confirmed Milo's leg had healed better than expected. Aaron felt immense relief, especially knowing he could never repay Milo for what he'd already endured. Still, the more Aaron learned about Maria, through emails from past clients, old co-workers, and social workers, the more he realized how little the world had noticed her passing. She had been kind, gentle, invisible, and so had Milo. That bothered Aaron more than he wanted to admit. He began to write in the evenings, not medical notes, not case reports, but memories, letters, words he imagined Maria might have said to Milo if she'd had the chance. "You were always my shadow, weren't you?" he wrote one night, fingers paused over the keyboard. "You never left my side, and even after I was gone, you waited." He printed the letters and kept them in a folder labeled, "For Milo." Aaron didn't know why. Maybe to help himself. Maybe so Milo would never feel forgotten. One Sunday morning, Aaron took Milo to the park for the first time. He wasn't sure how the little dog would react. For weeks, Milo had only known quiet corners, tiled hospital halls, and the safety of home. But something about the crisp spring air felt promising. They walked slowly. Milo still limped slightly, but his steps were stronger now. Children ran past with kites, couples strolled hand in hand, and birds chirped from tree branches just beginning to bud. Milo stopped to sniff everything. Aaron laughed. "You're making me look lazy." They sat on a bench beneath a blooming cherry tree. Aaron sipped coffee. Milo laid at his feet, head resting on his paws, eyes half closed in contentment. For a moment, Aaron imagined Maria sitting beside him. He didn't know what she looked like. Her photo had never been recovered. But in his mind, she had soft eyes and a gentle laugh. The kind of person who didn't raise her voice, the kind who never expected the world to notice her, but still left it better than she found it. He whispered, "He's doing okay, Maria. I promise." The wind stirred, lifting the petals into a gentle swirl. Milo lifted his head, ears twitching as if he'd heard her name. Aaron smiled. "You feel her too, don't you?" That night, back home, Aaron opened the folder again. This time he added something new, a letter to Maria. "Dear Maria," it began, "I never knew you, but I feel like I do." Through him, through the way he stares at the door, the way he waits, the way he trusts, slowly, carefully. You gave that to him, and maybe, through him, you gave something back to me too. He signed it without thinking. "With respect and gratitude, Doctor. Aaron Blake." The next day, something strange happened. As Aaron walked Milo past the hospital during their usual morning loop, a young boy sitting on the bench outside gasped. "Hey, that's the dog." Aaron turned. "Excuse me?" The boy, maybe 10 or 11, leaned toward his mother. "That's him! The one from the hospital story." The mother smiled sheepishly. "We saw your post about Milo. It was going around Facebook. People are really touched." Aaron blinked. "It's going around?" "Hundreds of shares," she said. "Someone added a video of him waiting by the hospital doors. It's everywhere now. People are calling him the dog who wouldn't give up." Aaron was stunned. He hadn't realized the quiet tragedy had reached beyond the hospital halls. Later that week, reporters reached out. A local news channel requested a short interview. At first, Aaron refused. He wasn't used to the spotlight, and the last thing he wanted was to exploit Maria or Milo's story. But Sarah convinced him. "Tell the truth," she said. Let people see how love doesn't disappear just because someone's gone. So, he agreed. The segment aired on a Thursday evening. Footage of Milo waiting by the hospital, Aaron feeding him, staff donating for his surgery. It all unfolded like a love letter to loyalty. The response was overwhelming. Letters poured in. Donations flooded the hospital's animal relief fund. Families wrote about how Milo inspired them to adopt rescues, to reconnect with lost relatives, to slow down and notice the invisible. One email stood out. It came from a woman named Clarissa Hayes. She wrote, "I knew Maria. We were roommates years ago before she moved out on her own. She rescued Milo from a drainage ditch during a rainstorm, nursed him back to health. She used to say he saved her just as much as she saved him. Please, can I visit him?" Aaron read the message twice. Then again. He looked down at Milo, curled beside his desk, now snoring lightly. "She knew someone," he whispered. For the first time since Maria's death, someone had come forward, not to claim her things, not out of obligation, but out of memory, out of love. He responded immediately. The meeting was set for Sunday afternoon. When Clarissa arrived, she brought a box. "I kept it all," she said, eyes misting. "Photos, a few of her things. I didn't know where she'd gone until I saw the story. I'm sorry it took so long." She sat on Aaron's couch as Milo approached cautiously. Clarissa knelt, held out a hand, and whispered, "Hey, baby. Remember me?" Milo sniffed her fingers, then licked them. Clarissa cried. So did Aaron. Clarissa visited often after that day. She brought stories, funny ones, bittersweet ones, and photos of Maria smiling, always with Milo curled somewhere at her feet. The box she delivered remained on Aaron's coffee table for days, its contents slowly making their way to shelves, frames, and the corners of Aaron's home. For Milo, they were like whispers of the past. For Aaron, they were windows into the soul of the woman who had once been everything to the little dog, now sleeping beside his bed each night. Weeks passed, and spring gave way to early summer. Milo no longer watched the front door each morning. Instead, he waited beside Aaron's shoes, tail tapping softly, ready for their walks. The limp had faded into a light sway, a mark of strength rather than suffering. Aaron found himself smiling more, not forced, not politely, but without thinking. Nurses noticed. So did patients. Even his colleagues, once used to the doctor who barely engaged beyond the clinical, saw something shift. He had changed, because Milo had taught him how. He spoke with Clarissa again about Maria, this time over coffee at the park bench where Milo had first chased drifting petals. Clarissa held a worn envelope in her hand. "I found this," she said. "Maria gave it to me years ago. She said if anything ever happened to her, and no one was around, I should pass it on to whoever watched over Milo." Aaron accepted it with trembling hands. Inside was a single handwritten letter. "If you're reading this, then I'm gone. And Milo, my boy, is still here. Please take care of him. He's not just a dog. He's the only soul who ever saw me fully and stayed. He deserves love. He deserves more than I could give him. And maybe, just maybe, through him, someone will remember that I was here, that I mattered." Aaron blinked hard, pressing his lips together. She did matter. Clarissa smiled sadly. I think she knew that deep down, but she was always afraid the world would forget. "They won't," Aaron said, his voice low. "Not anymore." The letter went into a frame beside the photo of Maria and Milo. It became part of the home, part of the story, not an ending, but a legacy. The hospital installed a small memorial bench outside its front doors. Staff had raised the money together. On it, a plaque read, "In memory of Maria Turner, beloved by one, remembered by all, and to Milo for waiting so beautifully. Every morning, Aaron and Milo sat there for 5 quiet minutes before starting their day. Not because they had to, because it felt right. Months passed. Aaron began speaking at rescue shelters, sharing Milo's story. The story reached more than just the town. An online post turned into a viral video. Newspapers picked it up. A local publisher contacted Aaron about turning it into a short memoir. At first, he declined. He wasn't a writer, but Clarissa reminded him, "You've already written dozens of letters. You've been telling the story since the day you brought him home. You just didn't know it." So he agreed. The book was titled Waiting by the Door. Its dedication read, "To Milo, who waited, to Maria, who loved, and to anyone who's ever felt unseen, you are not forgotten." When the book released, Aaron didn't expect the flood of emails that came. Messages from lonely people, grieving people, strangers who said, "I see myself in Maria," others who said, "I see myself in Milo," and some who simply wrote, "Thank you." The hospital started a new fund in Maria's name, supporting animals of admitted patients, those who might otherwise be forgotten. Milo became its mascot. A small oil painting of him hung in the main hallway, directly across from the emergency entrance. Years passed, but some things never changed. Aaron and Milo walked together every morning. They visited the park bench. Sometimes Clarissa joined. Sometimes kids would stop and pet Milo, their parents whispering, "That's the famous dog." But Milo never cared for fame. He just cared for peace, for home. One quiet evening, Aaron sat with Milo on the back porch, the sky awash in gold. Milo now had more gray around the eyes, and his steps were slower, but his heart was the same. Aaron stroked his fur. "You did everything you could for her." Milo sighed, eyes half closed. Aaron continued, voice thick. "And you changed me, you know that? You reminded me what it means to care, to stay, to fight." The wind stirred the trees gently. "And when your time comes," Aaron whispered, "I promise, I'll wait for you too." Milo licked his hand once, then laid his head down on Aaron's knee. As the sun dipped below the horizon, their silhouettes cast long shadows on the porch, man and dog side by side, not rescuing, not waiting, just living and remembering.